Yo guys, what is up? Ducklings here, and welcome to another Bat vlog. This is, well, after my last Bat vlog, I really kind of enjoyed doing it, and this time I want to kind of do another one. Hopefully going through a few of the spoilers and whatnot of Batman v Superman. So if you have not seen the film yet, I mean, where have you been? It's been out since Friday. I've seen it 3 times already. So I do suggest, if you haven't seen it, go and watch the film and then come back and watch us after, and we'll all have a good time. So if anyone wants to leave. Okay, right. So Batman v Superman, I mean, it was pretty amazing, but where I kind of want to start off, let's start off with the fact Batman kills people. I mean, this is, this is slightly a darker film than probably the previous Batmans, but he does straight up kill people. There's no escaping that. I mean, quite a few of the kills are, well, in that desert sequence we saw, he does straight up shoot people, and probably for me this is more because, well, if any of you have seen The Dark Knight Returns or whatever, he is more of a brutal Batman due to his experiences. So I wouldn't put it past him having to shoot people. That and the likely situations that he's in kind of has the need for it. I mean just straight up shooting people from his Batmobile and from his jet and whatever. Even then, I mean, you just see him completely blow everybody up. There's no escaping the fact he does kill people, but you do feel that it's kind of a necessary requirement, only because of the experience he's gone through, the situations, and blah 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 blah. If you do look through some bits, though, he doesn't straight up kill everybody. He just sort of kills the odd few people. The whole desert sequence, though, safe to say, anyone he does encounter does die. I mean, that's all by his hand. Moving on from that, let's talk about the new Batmobile. I mean, I found it awesome. I mean, just take a look. Yeah, so yeah, that's the new Batmobile, and it does kind of look like it has, well, sort of a combination of different Batmobiles into it. If you kind of look at it, that's what I think anyway. You know, various combinations of different bits and bobs. That thing driving through roaming around the streets looked amazing. I did kind of feel a bit sort of, half and a bit iffy that Superman just came along and just boom, there it goes, straight into the side of the road, and you're thinking, it's just got here. Now it's gone. But anyway, the whole fight between Batman and Superman, wow. But for anybody who didn't really sort of know the storyline, Batman did kind of win straight off anyway. But I mean, you guys were expecting that, right? Batman to win. That wasn't just me. But I wasn't expecting him to straight up finish the job. Like, he didn't. But the whole fight scene I found was probably one of my favourite points. It wasn't my completely favourite point, but I loved seeing that whole metal armoured Batman completely go for it. I will say Ben Affleck absolutely killed it as Batman. Like, fair to say, probably my favourite Batman now. But but also as well, this is, well, as much as I'm focusing on Batman now, this is a Superman film as far as I can see. I mean, it feels a lot more like a sequel to Man of Steel, in which it is. It's just more of a case of Batman's there, Wonder Woman's there. Anyway, moving on slightly from Batman, Wonder Woman. Actually, to be fair, I found her role in it quite actually decent. I wouldn't say that she needed more of a role. I sort of liked the whole bit that she was playing off. She was in it just that perfect amount that I didn't really need any more of her. And I mean, Batman v Superman. It's in the title. I mean, we've got the two characters that you want, and Dawn of Justice. Okay, she does need to be there. Justice League, you can't just have Batman and Superman. You need at least one other character to at least form. Oh yeah, Justice League, and it kind of has to be Wonder Woman to sort of have all three of them together, sort of the main sort of three there anyway. But her scene, I mean, I loved her personally. That she was actually one of my favourite scenes when she starts taking on Doomsday by herself. I mean, that was just straight up awesome. I mean, that jump and charge. I mean, that was great. That was my favourite scene in the whole film. I mean, it wasn't like Batman fighting Superman. It wasn't even Doomsday fighting Superman. It was Wonder Woman fighting Doomsday. I mean, that was just straight up awesome. I mean, I loved it. I couldn't get enough. Like, we actually got a decent amount of Wonder Woman in it. Not so much as Batman and Superman, but she was in it like quite a good amount for it to for the amount that she was in it. There was sort of that off chance, but she wasn't in it for as well. She very clearly wasn't in it for just as much because they had to focus on other characters. But you know, the bit she was in, it was fine. I mean, she is sort of a bit well, what's the word? She sort of had that a bit of mystery and stuff to it. It's more of a case of, for those of you who haven't seen it, if you didn't know who she was, it's more of a case of, well, who the fuck is she and what is she doing? But if you've seen the trailer, you know who she is straight off, or if you know the comics, you know who she is straight away. But it had that kind of half-edged mystery to it where you're sort of thinking, okay, I know who you are, but I want to see what's going to happen with you and what they're going to do. And obviously, through some of the images and whatnot, for the Wonder Woman film, which is actually going to be coming out sometime, we've figured out it's going to be in 1918, so World War One. So that's probably going to be pretty interesting to see. Anyway, moving on to some of the sort of cameo appearances we had from Cyborg, Flash, and Aquaman. Now, I'm not the greatest Aquaman fan. Fair to say, before the film, I was sort of not too woohoo with him at all. After that cameo appearance, fair to say, I won't be seeing the Aquaman film because I have to. I will be seeing the film because I want to see the film. He's in it the tiniest amount. You just see him wreck one of the machines. He flies off, well, swims off, just into the water. He is gone. He is far gone, and it does sort of. He did look awesome. I'm not going to deny it. Obviously he didn't have his orange and green costume. But I did very much enjoy the costume that he had on. Did look awesome. I mean, he's not in it for long. I'm making out like he's in it for a very big part of the film. He's not in it for a very big part of the film, but it's the bit that he's in does look absolutely amazing. Moving on to Cyborg. Cyborg's one was a bit sort of, well, I would say a bit longer. You sort of saw how Cyborg sort of came to be Cyborg. Obviously, if on the screen you can tell the whole thing is at Star Labs, so that's another sort of reference shoved right in there. Hey, look, they're at Star Labs. Yes, but as fake as that sounded, I am genuinely excited. But no, I really did enjoy his appearance and sort of seeing how he was created in the DCEU. I found that quite nice. So I'm sort of kind of looking forward to that. I find it a nice way to sort of introduce the characters in the general as a whole. But moving on from that, I think we need to talk about the Flash, because the Flash made more of a cameo than, well, clearly the other two. So after sort of the desert scene where we get with Batman in the desert, here comes along Flash. "You need to find us! You need to find us!" That I did find very, very well done. And of course, we had the little, you know, same sequence as Aquaman and Cyborg, where you sort of see him run and save someone, and he moves so freaking fast. Like, yeah, you barely saw him move at all. Like, just tiny anything. Obviously, but no, I found his appearance quite nice. Also, as well, if you looked very carefully, you did kind of see Flash's suit. A very apocalyptic look. Obviously, we've got the Flash TV show, and for those of you who don't know, Injustice: Gods Among Us, one of the games, Flash has a very apocalyptic looking suit, and it did kind of resemble that more than some of the other versions, which I did very much enjoy as well. It makes sort of a bit of a difference to the other suits we got. Why he's got that suit, we don't know. Probably something to do with future events or whatever. So obviously he's coming back to obviously talk to Batman. Well, give that message to Batman to tell him what to do and whatever. Right. So moving on. One of the next things I want to talk about is Batman's dream sequence. Obviously he's in the desert. He's trying to find kryptonite, and the only thing he sort of finds is a box with some bulbs in it, and they're green. And obviously he goes on killing everyone. The next thing you know, he's captured, tied up, and an evil Superman sort of comes in. Well, I'm assuming the evil comes in, rips off his mask. And what this kind of reminded me of is the Injustice storyline. Again, I'm going back to Injustice. For those of you who don't know, essentially Injustice, there's an Earth 1 and an Earth 2. And in Earth 2, Joker has tricked Superman into killing Lois Lane. And basically Superman kills Joker and takes control of the world on their side. And yeah, so that sort of reminded me of that. And in this sequence, you kind of do realise that he does say, "You took her from me," to Batman. So at this point in time, obviously we're assuming that from this moment anyway, Lois is dead. But Superman's accusing Batman. But I mean, obviously Batman knows about Lois. So I wouldn't assume that he's gone and killed her, but an incident involving Batman, I would like to think it would be something to do with Joker, because then it's sort of going back to other stuff. But if it's more of a, like a team up thing, like they did trying to save Martha, as in Superman pretty much relies on Batman to save her, and he doesn't succeed. That could be the one thing where he doesn't save the person, and Superman has to pay the price for where Batman failed. I think that would quite make a pretty decent storyline. But overall, I think the film did really well. It did a lot of stuff to set up all sorts of different stuff around the universe. Obviously, the film was quite dark, but personally, I was expecting that, and it makes a lot of difference from the stuff which we've been getting from Marvel, which was a brightly coloured, fun. This is for everyone, Obviously, I mean, I've seen it 3 times already. So one of the screenings I had, there were a few kids in there, and obviously they weren't liking it. It's not fun. It's not colourful, and that they didn't like it at all. They just sort of walked out. I mean, it's not for I wouldn't say it's for everyone, but I mean, it's Batman v Superman. This is the bit everyone's been waiting for. don't. The only thing you've got to compare it to, though, which I feel because obviously it has been getting a lot of bad sort of, you know, press from critics and everything, saying, oh, it's, well, I don't really need to say that rating on Rotten Tomatoes sort of really says it all, but it's the only thing I feel it's got to compare to these days superhero films is Marvel stuff, but Marvel's fun and colourful and for kids. I mean, you don't want to. The only thing you've got to compare it to is that. I mean, okay, obviously there is the Dark Knight trilogy, which did have quite a bit of a lighter tone to it, but overall, the darkness level of DC is normally quite dark. I mean, like, have you read most of the storylines or at all? If you know some of the storylines, you will know that it is quite dark, and I feel that was very strongly represented in that film. Like, they pulled it off so well, but it is sort of the opposite end to what Marvel's done, and that fun and colourful thing isn't really existent there because of how they do everything. Also, their setup as well. I mean, Marvel spent all this time, yes, with solo films, and then they bring it up so everyone's all together. So then right now they're having Civil War, and DC are sort of assembling, I think, everybody a lot different, which is what I find really nice. It's more of a case of, right, we have, obviously they had Man of Steel, solo film, and it looks like now what they've done is half a ton of like Dawn of Justice, Justice League films. But in between all of that, we do see solo films. Obviously, Wonder Woman's film is set in the past, so this will be before Man of Steel, before Dawn of Justice. So I think it's quite nice that we're going to have a few stuff which is set in the past, sort of like an episode kind of thing. Oh, so before this happened, and you're thinking, oh, okay, that seems pretty good. So we sort of get more of an idea of where the characters come from, what they've done, and how they've done to get themselves in a situation before they were with Justice League. But no sign of Green Lantern yet, is there? Anyway, I'm going to end on that. If you guys enjoyed, please like. If you want to see more stuff, subscribe. Let me know what you think about Batman and Superman. Just put that in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.